Ministries. To make reservations, call 687-1119. The usual suspects. Now that is cool.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 22 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. We've got some news bites to deliver to you. This is where Robin and I take the news and we read you the story in brief. We shorten it, get to the point, cut to the chase, and give you a chance to catch up on the news from around the world, the nation, the state, and in today's case, there's at least one story from here in Ocala, and do it bite-sized. We give you just a brief version of the news. Remember, we also give you the news agency that we get the story from so that you can then go to that website and read the entire story for yourself, and we do that so that we can put news back in News Talk, as well as give you a chance to catch up on the news. And we will start with this one. This is from ABC News. A former New Mexico State police officer who fired shots at a minivan during a chaotic traffic stop last year had no idea that the vehicle was full of children, and says that his heart sank when he finally realized it. He said that in an interview with ABC News. 53-year-old Elias Montoya was terminated in December after he fired 3 shots at a vehicle carrying a mother and her 5 children, ranging in ages from 6 to 16. Montoya fired the shots after a routine traffic stop evolved into an intense encounter that included a high-speed chase. My heart sank when they finally stopped, and I was at the passenger side at that time, seeing them get out at gunpoint again. He said, I couldn't believe it, that there were that many children in there. Video from a police cruiser's dashboard camera taken during the October 28th traffic stop showed Montoya shooting at the minivan 3 times in Taos, New Mexico. The video garnered national attention. Montoya says it was the first time he had fired his gun on duty during his 12 years as a state police officer. At the time, Montoya said he didn't know the majority of the people inside the vehicle were children. New Mexico State Police will not comment on Montoya's termination, but say he violated the department's policy regarding the use of deadly force.
And this is the story you were referring to out of Ocala, reported by the Florida News Network. A Marion County school teacher is facing multiple charges in connection to a case that started as an allegation of harboring a runaway. According to investigators, Dwayne Ernest Adams and the 15-year-old student admitted to having a relationship. Authorities said that the two of them told investigating officers that they had even considered themselves married, having exchanged rings and vows. Deputies in Marion County said it appears that the two of them had been involved with each other in an active relationship for at least a month and a half, and an aide that they had been planning to run away together as soon as the girl turned 16. Authorities said the involvement of Adams, age 54, first surfaced when the girl's parents reported her as a runaway, and investigators learned that the teacher had been hiding the girl at his house. It was only later, over the course of re-interviews, that officials said they were told about the relationship. Adams was arrested and faces multiple charges relating to sexual battery on a minor. Throw away the key.
The next story is from the Associated Press. A 4-year-old girl accidentally shot her 4-year-old cousin to death with a loaded rifle that she found under a bed at a relative's home in Detroit, according to a news release this morning. The girl was playing and watching TV yesterday afternoon with the 4-year-old boy and his 5-year-old sister when she found the gun, according to Police Sergeant Michael Woody. He said she picked up the weapon, pointed it at the boy, and shot him once in the chest. The boy was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. A man who lives at the home on the city's west side was the only adult there at the time and is believed to be the grandfather of the children. It wasn't immediately known whether the gun belonged to him. An investigation is ongoing, and the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office will determine whether charges should be brought. Wow. Sad, terrible, horrible story.
The U.S. House of Representatives passed a $1.1 trillion omnibus bill that includes $3.1 billion in security assistance for Israel. That figure marks a restoration of funds back to levels not seen since their sequester on military spending in 2013, when all funding was automatically cut. A 2007 memorandum committing the U.S. to Israel's qualitative military edge over its neighbors in the region commits U.S. security support to the Jewish state at roughly $3 billion. This is a quote: "The overwhelming passage of $3.1 billion in Israel security assistance as part of the larger omnibus appropriations bill again demonstrates the bipartisan commitment to ensuring Israel's security needs are fully met." This is from Elliot Engel. He's a Democrat out of New York. He is the ranking member of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. This is reported by the Jerusalem Post.
And this story from the Associated Press: Ohio's capital punishment system likely faces new challenges following an unusually long execution in which the condemned man appeared to gasp several times. Family members of death row inmate Dennis McGuire planned a news conference for today to announce a lawsuit over McGuire's death, which they say was unconstitutional. And it's almost certain lawyers will use McGuire's execution yesterday to challenge Ohio's plans to put a condemned Cleveland area killer to death next month. All citizens have a right to expect that they will not be treated or punished in a cruel or unusual way, according to a statement from defense attorney John Paul Rion, representing McGuire's adult children. In a statement issued yesterday, he said, quote, "Today's actions violated that constitutional expectation." McGuire's attorney, Alan Bonert, called the convicted killer's death a failed, agonizing experiment and added the people of the state of Ohio should be appalled at what was done here today in their names.
Too many bitcoins and no place to spend them? Soon you will be able to splurge on all kinds of things, starting with tickets to see the Sacramento Kings play basketball. Bitcoin, the virtual currency, has been promoted as the payment method of the future, thanks to the fact that transactions are anonymous and do not subject retailers to the same fraud risks that credit cards do. Consumers, however, have little recourse if their bitcoins are stolen. Now, multiple businesses are jumping on the Bitcoin bandwagon. The Sacramento Kings, along with the Golden State Warriors, are the home team for many Silicon Valley techies. On Thursday, the organization announced that it will become the first professional sports team to accept bitcoins for tickets and team merchandise. Porn, basketball, and taxes, Bitcoin is on a hot streak, reported by MSNBC.
And a programming note here on WOCA, The Source at 9:35, will have an open forum on the debate surrounding the Bitcoin as currency. So we'll do that at 9:35. I've got the debate ready to go. I've got two sides, those for and those against the Bitcoin, and we invite you to express your thoughts on this new form of currency and what you think about it. That's just a programming note right there. The next story is about the actor Russell Johnson, who played the professor on the TV show Gilligan's Island. And I'm getting this story from ABC News. The actor has died, according to his wife, Constance. She told ABC News that the 89-year-old TV star died early yesterday morning of kidney failure. He died at home, peaceful in his sleep at 5:21 a.m. She said he was a very brave guy who knew what he wanted, and he wanted to be at home. Originally from the northeastern area of Pennsylvania, Johnson served in World War II before pursuing an acting career. He acted in several TV programs in the 1950s and 1960s, including The Adventures of Superman, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and The Twilight Zone. However, his most famous role came along in 1964 when he played the professor on the TV show Gilligan's Island. I've had people in the ensuing years say, if they did Gilligan's Island again, you'd all be living in the same tent. I guess that was a statement he made anyway. Afterward, he appeared in several films, TV shows, including an episode of Newhart in which he was shown watching an episode of Gilligan's Island. Johnson, a Washington resident, leaves behind his wife and a daughter named Kim.
The National Security Agency has collected almost 200 million text messages a day from across the globe, using them to extract data including location, contact networks, and credit card details, according to top-secret documents. The untargeted collection and storage of SMS messages, including their contacts, is revealed in a joint investigation between The Guardian and the UK's Channel 4 News based on material provided by NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden. The documents also reveal the UK spy agency, GCHQ, has made use of the NSA database to search the metadata of untargeted and unwarranted communications belonging to people in the UK, reported by The Guardian.
And this story from the Associated Press, Russian President Vladimir Putin says that gays should feel welcome at the upcoming Winter Olympic Games in Sochi, but they must leave the children in peace. Putin told volunteers this morning that gays visiting Sochi can feel calm and at ease, and vowed that there would be no discrimination at the games, but he emphasized that according to a law banning homosexual propaganda among minors, gays cannot express their views on gay rights issues to anyone underage. Putin and other politicians have defended the June propaganda law as a protection of child rights, but critics believe that the law discriminates against sexual minorities. In the wake of international outcry against the bill, Russian authorities have put limits on the right to protest during the Sochi Games, which runs February 7th through the 23rd.
Victims of clerical abuse accuse the Vatican of obfuscating and using disingenuous arguments as representatives yesterday came in for unprecedented public questioning by the United Nations over the Catholic Church's cover-up of the rape of thousands of children by sexually abusive priests. In testimony to a UN committee in Geneva, Archbishop Silvano Tomasi, the Vatican's representative, showed a degree of remorse over church sex abuse scandals, saying that such crimes can never be justified, reported by The Telegraph.
Wow, this is a short story. Betty White, the actress, turns 92 years old today.
Wow, happy birthday.
That's the whole story.
This is from Florida News Network out of Tallahassee. Despite concerns about an increase in traffic crashes, the Transportation Committee in the Florida Senate votes to increase the highway speed limit from 70 to 75. Backers of the bill say it's an incremental adjustment and not an attempt to turn Florida's interstates into the Autobahn. Opponents claim that raising the speed limit by 5 miles per hour would cause everything from more accidents to more road rage. Supporters, however, like Florida State Senator Jeff Clemens, say the safety argument does not hold up when you look at the actual statistics. And this is a quote from him: "This mentality that somehow raising the speed limit by a mere 5 miles per hour is going to create a lot more accidents is simply not borne out by the data. The change would not apply in congested urban areas, and the Florida Department of Transportation would have the final say over which highways would end up with the higher speed limit."
This story is from the Associated Press. Firefighters were chasing early morning flare-ups this morning in a damaging wildfire that was largely tamed, but which kept thousands of people from their homes in the foothill suburbs northeast of Los Angeles as dangerously dry conditions persisted. Television news footage showed spots of open flames chewing through brush along the hillsides, raining embers and ash onto communities abutting the San Gabriel Mountains as crews doused properties in the path of the fire. Smoke from the blaze descended across the Los Angeles basin all the way to the coast. By nightfall yesterday, the wildfire that swept through about 2.5 square miles of tinder-dry chaparral and destroyed 5 homes early in the day had its progress halted and was 30% contained. Los Angeles County Fire Deputy Chief John Tripp is reporting.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers is introducing legislation to restore some parts of the Voting Rights Act that were stripped by a Supreme Court ruling last year. Republican James Sensenbrenner of Wisconsin, Democratic Representative John Conyers of Michigan and Democratic Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont introduced bills yesterday to update a formula used to require certain states with a history of discrimination to get federal approval before making any changes in the way that they hold elections. The court said the formula relied on 4-decade-old data that does not reflect racial progress and other changes in U.S. society. The bill would change the formula to require advance approval of changes only in states, cities, and counties where Voting Rights Act violations have occurred in the past 15 years, reported by the Las Vegas Sun.
And from the Associated Press, Hiru Onoda, the last Japanese imperial soldier to emerge from hiding in a jungle in the Philippines and surrender 29 years after the end of World War II, has died. He was 91 years old. Onoda died yesterday at a Tokyo hospital after a brief stay there. Chief government spokesman Yoshida Suga on this morning expressed his condolences, praising Onoda for his strong will to live and indomitable spirit. After World War II, Mr. Onoda lived in the jungle for many years, and when he returned to Japan, I felt that finally the war was finished, and that's how I felt, Suga said. Onoda was an intelligence officer who came out of hiding, erect but emaciated, in fatigues patched many times over, on Lubang Island in the Philippines in March of 1974 on his 52nd birthday. He surrendered only when his former commander flew there to reverse his 1945 orders to stay behind and spy on American troops. Onoda and another World War II holdout, Sergeant Soichi Yokoi, who emerged from the jungle in 1972, received massive heroes' welcomes upon returning home. Before and during the war, Japanese were taught absolute loyalty to the nation and the emperor. Soldiers in the Imperial Army observed a code that said death was preferable to surrender.
China stepped up its purchases of U.S. government debt late last year, increasing its holdings of treasuries to an all-time record of $1.317 trillion in November. Government data released this week has revealed. These statistics underscore how reliant the U.S. and Chinese economies are on one another, even as political tensions occasionally emerge. According to figures inadvertently released on the U.S. Treasury Department website, China's holdings of treasuries increased by 0.9% in November to $1.317 trillion, up from $1.305 trillion in October. Year over year, China's holdings rose 11.3% from $1.183 trillion, reported by Fox News.
Between the mysteriously banging doors, the odd noises coming from the basement, and the persistent feeling that someone is standing behind them, homeowners Gregory and Sandy Leeson are thoroughly creeped out by their 113-year-old Victorian home. So when they put the house in northeastern Pennsylvania up for sale last month, they advertised it as slightly haunted. And then things got really weird. There were calls from ghost hunters. An open house attracted lots of curiosity seekers, but no legitimate buyers. And a former resident came out of the woodwork to tell the couple that when he was a child, he found a human skull in the basement, the same basement whose door Sandy Leeson once barricaded because she swore she could hear the clicking of a cigarette lighter emanating from the subterranean depths. It's enough to make her husband wonder whether he did the right thing when he playfully wrote about the home's spooky charms. Slightly haunted, the ad says. Nothing serious, though. The listing is on Zillow's real estate site. It goes on to describe 3:13 a.m. screams and the occasional ghastly visage in the bathroom mirror. The listing attracted local and national media attention, and now the Leesons just need an actual buyer for the 4-bedroom home, which you can buy if you're interested for $144,000.
Wow. No thanks. Heavy Americans who drink diet beverages rather than those sweetened with sugar appear to eat more, according to a study released yesterday that raised questions about the role lower-calorie drinks are playing in helping people lose weight. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University analyzed data from a U.S. survey of 24,000 people over a period of 10 years. People who were overweight or obese generally consumed the same amount of calories a day, no matter what they drank. But those who chose diet drinks got more of those calories from food. Outside experts were quick to caution that it is not clear what role, if any, diet drinks such as low or no calorie versions of sodas, sports drinks, and teas played for people who ate more, reported by Reuters.
And this is from ABC News, and it's a follow-up story on the shooting at the supermarket in Indiana. The police officers who responded to a report of shots being fired inside an Indiana supermarket Wednesday night used their new training to be able to have a successful, at least as much success as possible. A recent change in their training meant that the supermarket was cleared in a matter of seconds, and within a few minutes they found the suspect and they ended the attack. You might remember that the suspect had killed 2 women in that supermarket. Apparently randomly. Although 2 people were killed by the gunman inside the Elkhart, Indiana store, more bloodshed was averted, according to the report. The old system of responding to such a call used to be to show up, secure the scene, wait for the SWAT team to show up. According to the Indiana State Police Sergeant Trent Smith at a news conference, he says that usually ended up as more loss of life because you had somebody with a knife or a gun or a bomb in a business, in a school, or wherever it was, running rampantly doing whatever they want. After the massacre at Columbine High School in 1999, law enforcement officials realized there needed to be a change. Don Montague, the executive director of the Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training Program at Texas State University, told ABC News that now that the pace of active shooter incidents has tripled in recent years, particularly since the horror at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, more than a year ago, the FBI is taking Montague's program across the country. This is an emergency, Ron Husko, the head of the FBI's criminal division, told ABC News. A mass shooting could happen not only in any town in the USA, but in your town. Husko said in these cases, every second counts. Any second of the delay is a second where a defender can fire off multiple rounds from a handgun. And this is a rather long story, so I won't read it anymore. But the point is there's a program in place that was used in Indiana that actually is the different way of approaching that type of a circumstance for police officers who, by the way, stand up and thank them, applaud them, salute them. Firefighters and police officers are there for us. They risk their lives. Look at that. That's an amazing story right there. Look that up if you get a chance. I found it on the ABC News website.
An effort by President Obama to transfer America's lethal, highly classified drone program from the CIA to the Pentagon appears to have been thwarted by lawmakers wielding a secret weapon of their own. The Washington Post reported that members of Congress inserted a provision in a classified annex to the $1.1 trillion government spending bill that was introduced this week that would restrict funding or authorization to transfer from one to the other. The move is an unusual one for Congress, and the debate over it will be closed to a small circle because of the classified nature of the addendum. President Obama, under considerable pressure from the left over the program's civilian deaths and potential violations of international law, has for some time sought a way to distance himself from the controversial program that has come to be seen as a signature foreign policy and national security tool. Reported by Wired.
All right, that's all the time we have for News Bites. Thank you for tuning into this segment of the morning show. We do this each weekday morning so that you can catch up on the news in a brief period of time. We do it for ourselves so we can put news back into News Talk and together. Not a bad idea, I think, and you've been supporting it nicely. So thank you for doing that. Remember, if you'd like an ad slipped in there, Rob and I will read your ad live in the course of that news. And of course, the way you advertise that way or any way on WOCA, come down to the studio, speak to an account executive, and he or she will guide you through the process of getting your ads on the radio here so that we can send business through your doors and you can have a good bottom line at the end of the year, or maybe even by summertime. The phone number here is 732-8000. If you'd like to visit us in person, we're at the Paddock Mall just outside of the food court. Robert, how many stories did we get in there
21.
today? 21. Not bad.
Yep.
All right, we'll take a little break. Jim George is up next. We'll be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. Bail is $500,000 each for 3 men charged with starting a Southern California wildfire with a campfire. Easing Santa Ana winds have given firefighters 30% containment, but several homes are destroyed and thousands of people evacuated. Now he wants to talk. A former New Jersey Port Authority official who previously wouldn't answer questions from a legislative committee about traffic tie-ups is now offering to tell all if he's granted immunity from prosecution. David Wildstein days ago repeatedly took the fifth at a hearing. Is your baby really upset or just faking it? New research suggests infants can pretend to cry as young as 7 months just to get attention. Victoria's latest secret has been revealed. The company has apologized to a woman who was denied permission to breastfeed her baby in a dressing room. The Texas mom found the denial surprising since the company makes all its money by focusing on women's bodies. Tom Brady says he feels fine, easing the fears of New England Patriots fans who worried he might not play this weekend during the playoff game against the Broncos. He'll be there. This is ABC News.
Okay, new kid. Here's your company phone. I've pre-programmed it with every number you need in life. The first one's my personal number. Never call it, ever. The second one is 1-800-GRANGER. Use it for everything else. Any problem you have, they can help. I've also loaded the Granger app for you. You can download it for free. Tippity-tap, on the spot. Your solution is on its way. Granger. Get it? Got it? Good. Call, click Granger.com, or stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
They call me Murphy, and I'm a service tech at Quick Lane Tire and Auto.